and welcome to another recording of the Content Marketing Studio. We're here for another season to help you create better content faster. I am your host, Pascal Fintoni, and today I'm going to put the spotlight on somebody very special who's going to help us invest in ourselves so that we have the energy, we have the focus, and we have the drive to make sure that we can build our online brand and drive sales for our business. I am your host, Pascal Fintoni, and my... Oh, merde, I messed it up. I was doing so well.
I love it when you swear in French.
Yeah, I did as well. Ah, well, that's the first one. That'd be part of the Christmas special. Sorry, Tim. And in 5, 4. And welcome back to another recording of the Content Marketing Studio. We're here for another season to help you create better online content faster. I am your host, Pascal Fintoni, and joining me to help us invest in ourselves and make sure that we have the energy, the drive, and the focus to create better content that can engage our audience and, of course, drive sales for our business is my guest, Polly Brennan. Polly, welcome to the Content Marketing Studio.
Thank you so much for having me, Pascal. I'm absolutely delighted. And as I said, childishly excited to be here today.
Thank you very much. So let me begin by asking you two important questions at this moment in time. Where are you and how are you doing?
Well, right now I'm at home, as a lot of people are. Been doing a lot of home-based work. So I'm in Northumberland, doing my thing, doing my mental fitness coaching. And how am I? I'm great because it's Friday. And that always feels good. And because, despite circumstances, we're all working really, really hard on just being on top of our game and focusing on solutions, not challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So Polly is a mental fitness coach and speaker. You're also the founder of Adventurous Coaching, and you love helping people work out ways to live a life which is more fun, more adventurous, and of course has a more energy. And the reason why I wanted to kind of invite you today is because we, as content creators, as marketers and business owners, we of course need to promote ourselves, and the medium is content. But I'm going to say that there is a relationship between our level of energy and our mindset and how we feel generally, and of course how we're going to go about creating content to make it a positive experience. So can I begin by asking you what you mean by mental fitness?
You absolutely can. So I'll talk just very briefly about mental health, because mental health and mental fitness are completely connected. So mental health is something that is way more palatable to talk about now, and that is a really, really good thing. I completely embrace and endorse that people are now speaking more about vulnerability and about the challenges. However, whilst it's more palatable, I think that sometimes people still mean other people. When they talk about mental health, we can talk about it generally, but sometimes people aren't really talking about their mental health as if it's sort of about other folk who have problems. But, spoiler alert, if you have a pulse, you have mental health. We all do. We all have mental health, and depending upon events and circumstances, we all have the potential to be really resilient and really mental fit, and also to be very vulnerable. And it's so important that we recognize when that might be happening. Often when people start to struggle, when life becomes difficult and they feel really wobbly, they might seek support. They might come to find me, actually. And I'm really 100% committed to helping people learn more about mental health and demystify it, because it's still something that we talk about mental health, but I'm not sure we always know what we really mean. I would like to demystify it and help people really know how to have strength and resilience so that we don't get to the point where it's becoming problematic and we're wobbling and it's affecting how we live life or how we work or how we create success. So if we almost imagine a sliding scale around our mental health, we all have potential to be on a bottom end of the scale. And I think lots of people this year have really struggled with that. But we all also have the potential to be at the top end of the scale, where we're really kicking the ass out of our lives and our work and everything, our relationships, everything that we're doing. But what's really important is we have to understand and learn how to create that. So, a question, I guess, for you, for me, for everybody listening today is where would you see yourself on that scale right now? on a scale of say 1 to 10, really ask yourself where you might be right now on that scale. And is that where you want and need to be? And how's that feeling? So I think that good mental health and mental fitness doesn't just happen to us, we have to create it. And I guess mental fitness is just pure and simply, it's how we bridge the gap between where we might be on that scale and where we want to be. And it involves action, it involves building awareness, and it involves strengthening our strategies and our habits and our routines, and really understanding ourselves better. So I think that a little bit like investing ourselves financially or investing in ourselves physically, we can all strengthen our resilience muscles so that we can be on top of the game. And I think it's a bit like it's an investment in our mental wealth, actually.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think, oddly, I had kind of coined, that mini series, Invest in Yourself. And then you've used that term again, because mental fitness, which by extension will have an impact on your ability to market yourself and present yourself to future clients and so on, is not something that you either have or lose. It's something that you nurture. And by applying self-awareness, you'll find the techniques and strategies going to help you out. I mean, you did mention that obviously this year has been, very challenging for all of us for all sort of reasons, and we've all had to find different ways. But I wonder whether part of it has been to also, on occasion, having to use different techniques that you didn't have to in the past. And I wanted to ask you whether you felt that there was some things you could share with us in terms of what could the range of techniques be that would be so new to us, because again, we are operating in very, very new circumstances.
Absolutely. It's I would describe this year as almost being like learning to dance on a shifting rug. Really,
Yes.
if I could just capture it in some way, it's been like learning to dance on a shifting rug, because it's unfamiliar terrain. And unless you've been, there's two groups of people, I think, perhaps three groups of people that I can imagine have really coped best. And I would imagine that people who already have challenges around their mental health, or some of those people have already experienced what it's like to be isolated, who've maybe already experienced what it's like to have to really dig deep at tough times and find ways through. People who are locked in. So I think people who've been incarcerated in some way, they understand what it's like to live in a world where we're occupationally deprived, where we can't access the things that we might want or need in our lives, or can't communicate with people. So, our self-care, our leisure and our productivity have all been impacted potentially by this set of circumstances. It's something I can talk an awful lot about because I'm also an occupational therapist. So it's absolutely my business to help people who are occupationally deprived and to be able to function in their lives again. And thirdly, the third group of people are people who perhaps work in the oil industry, who might be out in the oil rig somewhere where they get used to, for up to 6 weeks at a time, having to be away from things they love, people they love, access to things they really want to do. And so there are groups of people who will have managed this really, really well. And then there'll be others of us, like you and me, who we've had to learn some new things.
Mm.
So I think in terms of mental fitness, we all have kit in our bag. We might not think it's a tool or a strategy. It might just be habits, Pascal, that we do every day or every week that are really, really good for the soul. And we don't maybe recognize that actually it's part of our mental fitness. It might be taking time to go for walks, or making downtime to read. It might be that we exercise, we work out. It might be we connect with people. So these things are our buffers, and it'll be the stuff that we already do that are, part of life, but actually they're very, very important. And that when we stop doing them, we might recognize that actually we suffer a little bit, or we're not feeling on top of our game. But we have had to learn new strategies,
Mm.
and it might be things that we've never really had to do before. Some of the things I've been really aware of is that, we talk about storytelling, and your business is partly about visual storytelling. But as human beings, we all storytell, we create narratives. And, we'll have had a narrative about ourselves this year and about who we are and what we can achieve. And that story might have changed because what we've been able to do in life have become very, very different. And so I guess what we can all do in our lives is we can create a really unhelpful story, or we can create a really empowering narrative. Now, that's something that we can do about life, but I think we've had to really focus on the story we're telling ourselves every single day. So one of the pieces of kit I have in my kit bag is this idea about, we think about the story that you're telling, and it might even just be simply a day-to-day thing that you have to wake up and think about what's possible today. What can I achieve? What do I want? What's my potential? Because it's very easy at this moment in time to be thinking a bit about what I've not been able to do, and to start to question ourselves. So I think COVID's given us a real opportunity to really focus on having a really empowering story about what we're learning, the lessons we're learning, and our lessons will be all very different. We might be learning different things because of our particular circumstances. But I bet all of us could write down on a post-it note something positive to remind ourselves to really focus on what we can achieve and what we want to get out of each and every single day. And believe you me, whatever you tell yourself is right. If you tell yourself that today's not going to work out for me and I'm not really getting anywhere, you'll probably be right, because you'll focus your day based upon that story, and it will influence your landscape and the mindset that you create about what's possible. So I think we need to focus on the story we're telling ourselves about actually how adaptable and how able we are to improvise and overcome in the face of a pandemic. We might not really have had to do that before. We might not have had to think about this before, but we really, really need to be on it with that in particular.
No, thanks very much. You were mentioning a moment ago about those almost insignificant little moments in our day to day that actually have been very important, the buffers and so on. I read an article recently about someone called it the rituals, and they were saying that it was only normal that a team within a business environment would be less productive because the rituals have been stripped out of the day to day. The ritual of the getting together in the morning around a cup of coffee, the ritual of sharing lunch together, the ritual of walking to the meeting room, all those little things that have been quite significant, I think they didn't register, have been
Yeah.
kind of taken out. And now all you have are Zoom calls. And I think that, to me, that's been also the recognition. Because it's taken me months to understand, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? It's kind of odd. And they're realizing that actually, because there's a long list of things that you meant to use a term that have been deprived from, it's gone. So, but what else is there instead, or what can I introduce to brand new? So, can I ask you then, generally, what would you say we should do more of, and what should we do less of
Yeah.
to nurture our mental fitness? Which, back to my kind of case today, would then help us be better marketers.
Wonderful question. Thank you for asking me that question, because I think we have to keep asking ourselves this. We'll keep learning along the way. And what's lovely about that question is that your audience, people who are listening, will already have answers themselves. People will be learning. What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? And we have to, I think, through life, beyond all this, keep answers we'll be learning, so long as we keep asking. So that's a brilliant question. Thank you. So I would say doing more of, I'll just follow on from what you talked about there, Pascal, around our habits. So our habits are so important, but we don't perhaps recognize that until maybe now, how important habits are. Habits and routines scaffold us. They actually tell us, they give us predictability, and they tell us how to do the day. They tell us what we're going to do when, we get coffee and then we go into the business meeting, and then I, write up some notes, and then it's lunch. And it really helps us not just predict the day, but it actually helps us maximize the time we have available in that time, because often we're time limited. So we know that we've got 45 minutes, quick, get that done. And what's happening at the moment is people are working, environments change for a start. So we're not in the environment that might scaffold those actions. As you said, we don't have the buffers around the connection with people. We might have just had that kind of like coffee break where people are making a brew, where you just touch base. You didn't expect it, but you have a lovely chat with someone, and you have an offload, or you get inspired by something they said. we don't have these things in place, and they're incredibly important. And what people have tried to do, and hopefully will be continuing to do, is create space within the different environments that we're working in now to, as much as we can, implement the habits that we have in work. And as you said, you know, we're back to back on Zoom and on Teams. Actually, we need to create that window, that time where maybe we would have been in the car driving from one thing to the next, where we reflect on what we learned from that meeting or what we're going to action. I think we need to create those spaces for ourselves in amongst the day. I think we need time to connect with people that might be part of our team, and to go have the lunch break, take the walk, do what you need to do. And as a lot of, you know, inspirational people in business will know, is that bookending the day is a really, really important thing to do. So is that in an environment that might not change, perhaps you're working and living in the same space, you know, the thing that you do, the action, the act that helps you start the day, and the thing that you do at the end of the day that marks the day's done and helps you switch off. It'll be different for each of us. I know Richard Tubb talks a lot about his habits, and I really found that really, really lovely to hear how he likes to do that. Tiana Wilson-Buys, our amazing sort of productivity coach, has really helped us all with these things too. And so these things are very, very important. But also we talked about sort of recognizing and celebrating our achievements. Maybe we aren't doing our business life the way we did before. Maybe we're actually working on completely different tasks and projects, or maybe we just aren't able to work in the same way, in which case it's so easy to focus on what we haven't achieved, what we haven't done, and maybe we don't have people around us giving us that sort of feedback in the same way, those impromptu conversations or the high fives when you've had a really brilliant business meeting. But what we can do is we can still focus on celebrating our success and our achievements. So that's my second tip. And actually, we need to be our own cheerleaders. We need to be our own cheerleaders, as well as how lovely it is to get feedback from other people. We need to get the pom-poms out, cue prompt.
Oh, yes.
I usually have two, but every time I get the pom-poms out, I think of Ashley King, because I did a podcast with Ashley and Nurture Your Zest, and I got my pom-poms out and she got so excited. So a cheerlead for Ashley King, but also for everybody here who's working so hard on their businesses. You know, it's corny, but you know, it's really just about saying, just come on, let's just stop and actually stop focusing on what we aren't doing, and let's celebrate what we are doing. Maybe there's some wins that we're creating that aren't quite what we expected, because we didn't know we were going to have this year, and we didn't know it was going to look like this. But maybe there's some things we didn't expect that we are winning on, and we have to really, I think, in order to notice them, we've got to stop and ask, in what way am I excelling? It could be a really lovely just little habit of ending your day with a, you know, what 3 things have I done today that I'm really proud of, or where's been my biggest wins? And it's a very simple question, but if we're asking ourselves that, I promise you, even on the toughest day, we can all find 3 things. And let's just not forget that whilst we're looking at big, you know, we all want the big impactful wins, small is significant. Despite what small is significant, and the little wins sometimes give us lots of clues in order to solve other problems. And maybe we need to redefine success. Maybe health's the new wealth, and maybe happiness is the new success. But what if we could have health and happiness in our work, in our business, and how might that change what we can achieve?
And I think you're right in terms of celebrating small victories, something that I did quite early on in my career when I was leading teams, when I had the privilege of having people, you know, working with me. This idea of, you know, yes, we have the goal, and yes, we have the Gantt chart with a big red day, you know, when this will be finished as a project, but in between we need to kind of celebrate. And I think it was I might say it was maybe Chris Ducker who mentioned that, you know, when he was reflecting on what he was doing, and say, and by the way, let's remind ourselves that, you know, we're trying to operate in the midst of a global pandemic. So I think you might, you know, we could be forgiven to not on occasion achieve our task or the goals of the week, because, you know, there's so much that gets in the way. So with that in mind, then building on what we can do more, but what can we do less of?
Brilliant question. So there's always someone with a bigger boat. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Mind your own business. Focus on what is most important for you to be achieving, and stay focused. If I had a prop here, I'd have some blinkers. Blinkers on, focus on what you're trying to achieve. Stay focused on your business. Comparison's a thief of joy. And you know what? Whilst other people might be achieving other things or things you're not, that's okay. Just it's about focusing on what can you learn from them, but also bring that back to yourself and focus on what you're achieving. So that's really, really important. I guess another thing I would maybe like to say is, I guess this is about our mental fitness and mental wealth again. Stop saying you're okay when you're not okay. I think if I was to give this a term, I'd call it toxic positivity. I think I've just made that up. I don't know if that's a thing, but what I mean is that because we're positive, action-oriented people, we're trying to move things forward, and we're being told that, come on, there's ways to adapt and improvise and overcome. That's true. But you know what? Sometimes we're not okay. And I think when we gloss over the difficulties we might be having, then what we risk is that we're trying to be positive in a space where we're not. We're not okay. And so I guess what my tip here would be is let's just all focus on the team that we have around us. We'll have different people in our lives, and they'll in our business lives and our personal lives, who really, really help us and who nurture something we need, who give us space to sound off, who inspire us, encourage us, cheerlead us. Really, they might be the kind of people that really, because we're connected to them, they're really helping us sort of push for more and want more and have more. Each of us will have a team of people. And, what I would like everybody here to do is stop and think a little bit about who is actually on your team that you can go to, because by having them in your life, you're topped up, you've got more. And I would say, ask yourself who in your team are the people that you can reach out to when things are tough and when you need to perhaps vent and let go. Because I think if you have space to say, I'm not okay, and let go, and know that either that person will just maybe listen or be there or help you find a solution, it's much easier to reframe that then and to focus on how to be okay, how to manage and how to move forward with it. So this is all again about the power of the team. So a prop that I'd get my whistle out, because it's about rallying your team. It's about rallying the people around you and knowing what they bring to the table, knowing when you need their help, and maintaining those connections so that when you need to call on them, you're already connected, and it's easy just to pick up the phone or to let them know what you need.
You've almost given that phrase "mind your business" a whole new purpose for me, and a new kind of aspect. Is absolutely wonderful. Um, can I ask quickly, and that could be outside of what we normally get involved in, but I suspect there's doing less of could be in and around again habits of the past are no longer relevant to what we're doing now. But I would suggest someone like you may have a view about the news and the impact they may have on people.
Oh yes, definitely do less of listening to what's happening in the world of the news. I'm not suggesting that we're irresponsible and that we just don't inform ourselves, but I am, and I stopped doing this in March. So that might sound really, but I just stopped listening because I realised that I could connect up and find out what I need to know to be safe, keep other people safe, and act within regulations around what's advised. But I don't need to know about the details of it, the politics around it, and the negativity that it's generating in the world, because then what it does is it takes away my headspace to focus on what is possible, what solutions can I create, and how can I get out there in my life and use the time available to be an out of office thriver.
Mm.
And that's what I've focused on instead. So I would recommend that, some people might need to be a bit more informed and other people might not, but just be careful what you're allowing to yourself to use your headspace for, and make sure that, you know enough, know what you need to know, and also make space for the good stuff. Make space for some micro adventuring, or make space for time for the things that just add more and help you have more, be more, and do more.
Well, it took you a while to bring the term adventure into this conversation. So, as the founder of Adventurous Coaching, so you said micro adventuring. What is this?
Well, it's probably a term I've stolen and swiped from someone. I don't really know where it came from, really, but it is the idea that my business evolved into adventures coaching because I believe that with the right, when you're looking after your mental fitness, it's completely possible for life to be an adventure. Now, adventuring means something different to each of us, and the question is always, what does it mean to you? And so we can all have adventure in our life. It's really about leading a life that we might love. Now, again, that 2020 has been a challenge because people probably had fantastic plans for the year, for their businesses, for their lives. People were going to festivals, people were excelling in different directions and planning to experience lots of lovely things, which haven't perhaps happened. But it is always possible to have adventure in the ordinary. And in a lovely sort of motto that I learned from working with veterans was adapt, improvise, and overcome. So that's a military motto. And I think adapt, improvise, and overcome is something we can do in all areas of life. So what I've decided to give my attention to isn't what I haven't been able to do this year, but creating lots of micro adventures in my life. Because if I give my attention to the small everyday things I can do, I'll be topped up. It's about being an out of office thriver. So little things I've done have been, I've spent more time in the wilderness. I've spent lots of time on the beach watching the sunrise. It's free. A lot of the adventures that you and I can do don't cost anything, and often they are at our fingertips. So you have to think about the environment around you and what it offers. We're lucky in the Northeast because we have beaches, we have beautiful woodland. I've spent a lot of time in the outdoors, and I decided to learn some new things. So I've been learning how to surf, and I've been trying new things that I've never done before, and it's been wonderful. And it's topped me up and fueled my energy. And the most important thing about adventure is that it's not simply about having fun, which is very important. It's about doing things and having headspace away from thinking about how we do business. It's the space where we get innovative. It's where we come up with creative ideas. It's where we problem solve. And it's where we remember that it is possible to have more. It's where we develop a can-do way of thinking. It helps us develop a can-do mindset. And once you've got that in place, you can achieve more in all areas of life.
And is
So,
that where your Polly's weekly challenge come from?
Yeah. So Polly's weekly challenge is a bit of fun, really. It's a bit of fun, and I cover a whole range of topics. It can be about like what's your theme tune this week that's going to like take you through your day, your week. Sometimes it's about imagining that you're writing yourself a postcard from the future, and what words of wisdom would you be telling yourself once you're already living the life you want to love, that you want. It covers a whole load of things. It's playful and fun, but it does encourage us just to think about how we can adopt a more adventurous approach to our lives.
Because obviously, like everybody else, I received, and I thought, oh my God, is she going to ask me to climb a mountain or something with this adventurous coaching? So very quickly for our viewers and listeners, so I received it. And so ideas to whet your appetite for a wonderful week, making something Monday, get busy with a craft or practical activity. Try something Tuesday, learn a new language, wear a new outfit, watch a new film, start an activity you wanted to do for some time. Wonder Wednesday, make time to daydream and wonder. I have to tell you, every day of the week is Wonder Wednesday for me. I'm such a dreamer. Thoughtful Thursday, time for something altruistic, connect with someone who is alone or from a different generation, find something in common. And Fabulous Friday, no format, no rules. This is all about doing something that feels natural, easy, and fun. Thank you. This is brilliant because sometimes that's what we need, that nudge towards that micro adventure.
Absolutely. And, it really is completely possible for all of us to have that. That's the beauty of it. And it will mean something different. So there was me generating ideas, because sometimes it's actually just hard to come up with the ideas. I've got my little adventure jar here, just simply because sometimes it's hard to think of what I want, but I want something in my life that will allow me to top up my mental fitness. And so whenever I come up with an idea, often it's inspired by other people. So if you hang about with other people and spend time with people who are having fun and doing innovative or fun, unusual, different things, it'll give you ideas. pinch these ideas, swipe them, have them for yourself. And also I like to every now and then give this to my friends and tell them to throw a few wild cards in. So there's some stuff in here that I don't even know what it is, but if I pull it out, I'm committed, I'm going to have a go and try something different. It's something that we can all have. We can all have this.
So talking about props and items, you mentioned obviously the mental fitness kit bag that you invented some time ago. For our listeners on podcast only, behind Polly, we've got this great looking red rucksack. So what else is there in the mental fitness kit bag?
Absolutely. So it's a metaphorical, it's a concept, isn't it? It's about like the idea we could all have a kit bag. Literally, you could literally have a kit bag. When I go to the beach, I've got a kit bag and it's full of everything I could possibly need for an adventure. You know, I'll have wood for a fire. I'll have my wetsuits usually kind of at reach. I'll have my walking boots ready for a stomp. I'll have all sorts of things there. But in life, we can have a kit bag because, you know, if we think about our lives as a journey, which often people talk about, we have to have all the tools we need to make life, you know, as more resourceful, as and fun and as meaningful as we can. So here's the kit bag here. So there's something here about, you know, I brought the book out earlier. This is just for life and for day to day about having a brilliant story to take yourself forward in the world. It's the story you tell yourself. It's the story you tell other people about who you are, and what you say you'll become. So make sure it's a really good story. Secondly, we talk about, you know, on a journey we have direction. So we've been somewhere, but we're going somewhere too. And people who succeed, as we know, are clear on their vision. They know where they want to go and they know what it's going to look like. So to have that, sometimes we have to have our roadmap to tell us where we're, you know, where do we want to be? Where are we going? Sometimes we've got to refocus the lens. So I've got my binoculars out, because this year we might have thought we were going somewhere and it might not be where we are. Also, this year it might have encouraged us to refocus on what we want. It might be that what we want now and where we're going a different direction to what we thought. So in order to do that, we need to be able to get clear on the vision that we want, the destination, and we need the road to create our own roadmap, really, and understand what milestones that we need to see along the way so we remain action oriented. We all need to be recharged and refueled. So people talk about self-care. How do you recharge and refuel yourself? The props I would use for this, for me, it's all about, it'd be my walking boots, it would be the wood for the fire. You know, how I self-care, how I look after my well-being is through adventuring. And for each of us, that would look very, very different. So each individual kit bag is going to have different things in it, but each of us can think about one thing that recharges us and helps us top up so we don't become depleted. Also, you know, we have to really think carefully about the mindset that we're going to need to drive us forward. So, you know, sometimes you have to like have a bit of a spring clean. We have a feather duster. Again, it's a metaphor, but sometimes we've got to spring clean our thoughts and invite unhelpful thoughts to take a hike. Also, compartmentalization is really important. Sometimes there's things happening in life we can't change, we can't influence. They're there, but we just have to park them up. So here we have the bucket. And we have the file. Sometimes it's just kind of the concept here is about just saying, I don't have space in my life for things that are going to hold me back. I'm going to park them up until I can really take a look. So mindset's important. Now, bounce back ability, I guess. It's about facing challenges and being able to bounce back. Sometimes we battened down the hatches, didn't we, in the face of a global, you know, pandemic and a national lockdown. Sometimes we do have to batten down the hatches in life, but sometimes we can't, and we just got to get the hard hat on. So my hard hat's a cycle hat because I love cycling and the outdoors. Not my best look, but it really, really does it protects me. So sometimes it's about understanding what strategies will help you protect yourself when life throws curveballs your way, so that whilst pain's inevitable, we don't want to suffer. When things get tough, we don't want to be suffering. You know, also we have to think about taking action. So we're all trying hard to, perhaps we were hoping to shift gear and be in the fast lane this year, and maybe some of us are. But maybe all we're able to do, because I've had to adapt in my services this year, and maybe we're sort of, maybe the business growth we thought we were taking might have to have taken a backseat in some way, but we can all take action. We can all take action, and we can all keep focusing on the goals we want to achieve. And like rockets launched to the moon, and perhaps we can't be launching ourselves to the moon at the moment, but we can take action and move things forward. And so we have to keep clear on what we want, but also how to overcome the motivational challenges, the procrastination, the things we talked about earlier that have happened because we're not living and working in the way we were. We talked already about the power of the team, surrounding ourselves with a team of people that really support us. So when I'm thinking about the team, I've got my whistle out, working out who I can rally, but I'm also getting my pom-poms out and reminding myself that I am my own team. I can cheerlead myself and intrinsically motivate myself, as well as have other people externally in my life. Celebrating success, celebrating the wins is incredibly, incredibly important. And as we said earlier, sometimes when it's tough, you've got to get your magnifying glass out and focus on the small stuff. Focus on the small everyday things that we're achieving. One of the things I've got, and it's weird, but this is French, so this is just a little box. I've been keeping a record this year of my successes, because I realized that if I didn't notice them and write them down, the year might pass and I might forget all the things that I've managed to achieve in my life and in my business that are perhaps different. And finally, as we talked about earlier, being an out of office thriver, get your adventures lined up, get your focus and your attention on what you want to do outside of your business to have fun and top up, so that you can really create the business success that you want in your life.
That is just fantastic, Polly. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been really wonderful to listen to you. I know that both for our viewers on video and listeners on podcast, we've seen and heard all the different props being handled. It's been, kind of quite something to kind of experience, the kit bag, which I've known about, but I think for the first time I've ever heard it explained by you. Before we have to say goodbye, I've got one last question for you, or maybe more a request, which is, can you think of some of your clients or some of their micro adventures that even have impressed or surprised you, that would give us some
Yeah.
inspiration
So
for
I'd
all of
really
us?
quickly like to tell you in particular about two people. The first one is called John Mew. John Mew is a military veteran in his 60s, is the fittest 62-year-old man I've ever met in my life. John and I started working together when he was struggling post, leaving the forces, etc. And I think his experiences, his traumas, he was on a ship that sank during the Falkland War, and various other things had really broken John. And working together, we sort of looked at all his past successes in order to carve a new role and a new purpose for him. He actually spoke on one of Ian Farrar's show. I supported John to do his first podcast, which was really, really exciting. He loved it. So John now has become an advocate for mental health. He's a public speaker. He's actually writing a book. He's writing a story, and he's an adventurer. And he's using his adventures to fundraise and generate money. So he's building his own mental fitness while he does that, but he's generating money for charity, mental fitness, mental health charities. In particular, he's going to be doing an event for the Doddy Weir Foundation. And it's been transformational. He's been supported by lots of amazing charities, but one of them is Forward Assist, which I'd like to give a really big shout out to in the Northeast, who support military veterans. But since we started working together, John has done the SAS selection route, the Fan Dams. He has walked coast to coast, and his next event is going to be, he's doing 60,000 feet, a Mount Everest challenge, but he's doing it at the Falcons Foundation due to COVID restrictions, for the Doddy Weir Foundation, to again raise money for men and for people around mental fitness, mental health. If anybody, look John up. If you want to sponsor him, do look him up. He is incredible, and he's become a really big scale adventurer. But I'll tell you very quickly about Abby. So Abby would describe herself as an introverted daydreamer. She came to me because she needed to jump into life and connect with people, have more fun, make the most out of life. And she didn't know where to start. So listening to everything I could to understand what motivated Abby, we decided to create a 30-day challenge for her that would allow her to experiment and micro adventure. Now, we ended up coming up with a list of 70 possible activities and actions she could take. And I thought it would be fun to jump in and do those challenges with Abby. So we took it onto Facebook, and actually we got lots of people wanted to get involved in this, and people were starting to also share how they were micro adventuring. And it was fun, really great fun to get other people involved. So we all inspired each other. And what came out of that included, people doing fun things like leaving post-it notes in the dry cleaners to say, wash away your worries today. People leaving notes in library books. But things like we created a free hugs event in Newcastle and got together as a group of people, and it was just the experience of giving out free hugs. Don't try this right now, folks. No. And then we created a fundraising event that was geocaching, which raised money for cancer charity, but we got families and people together to experience treasure hunting in Newcastle, which was fun. And I could go on and on and on and talk about the events that we created and the actions we took and what we learned about ourselves and what we reflected about what we needed in our lives. But Abby is now a personal growth and relationship coach. On the back of our coaching together, she decided and realized that she needed to follow a big dream she had. And so that's what she does now. And that's wonderful. Finally, there's Denise Kidger that's training now for the Invictus Games for 2021, which is exciting too. So wow. There's lots of great stories, but inevitably, the way I see it is I get to walk side by side with people on their journey while they, learn how to really excel in their lives, whether that be personal or professional lives. And I consider it an absolute privilege.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, listen, I have no doubt people will want to listen to this again and pick up, some of the things we've done. But, this is part of this mini series I've mentioned, Invest in Yourself. But before I let you go, Polly, I'd like you to take part in a fun quiz, your own micro adventure via, the internet. So a couple of questions that you just can give me the answer that comes to mind. So if you could have a Zoom call with a personality, celebrity from the world of science, sport, or indeed business, who would you have on the Zoom call with you?
Sports or business? Oh, my goodness. There's so many people. Let me have a think. I would pick someone called Squash Faulkner, who's an adventurer. She's not specifically in the world of sport, but she is complete adventurer in many, many ways. Actually, she's just out there doing all sorts of sports stuff. So I would pick. I think she lives in France at the moment.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll go for that. If you could have your own private online concert, let's say via Facebook Live, you and your friends and family could watch it, online, who would be the band or the artist that would play for you?
Well, I've got two, but unfortunately they're not with us, but I can still want them, can't I? It would have to be Prince and it would have to be David Bowie. Yeah, I want them both.
Wow.
I want it all.
Well, I know what you mean. Oh, honestly, it's been 4 years since we said goodbye to Prince, and still stings.
Recovering. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So, whilst you're watching, obviously, Prince and David Bowie doing their thing, you are allowed to order a meal in. So, for you and your friends and family. So, what food would you order?
Easy. To watch the concert? This has got nothing to do with you, by the way, but it would have to be Mules and Feet. It would have to be mussels. Favorite meal in the whole wide world. So that would be
Moules frites, with cream and white wine sauce. Lots of chunks of bread to dip in at the end.
Definitely.
Super. If you could have your own radio show, what would you talk about, and who would be your co-host?
Right. Well, it would be adventuring. I wouldn't be able to help myself. And my co-host would be a guy called Alistair Humphreys. Look him up. He's just out there shouting from his shed is his email header. But he just really encourages and inspires people to work out how to get out there and have more. And he's He's based in the UK.
Ec-
He's amazing.
Right. Excellent. Final question for you. When this is all behind us and you can travel again freely or more freely than we are now, where would you
Oh my
like to go?
goodness. So there's so many places. One of the things on my list for 2021, because in 2021, I'm going to turn the big 50. So I'm going to have to kick the ass out of that
Right.
year. I'm going to do this Santiago de Compostela route. So I'm already in the process of
Right.
planning it with delusional optimism that we'll be able to travel. But because it's a big year, I've got lots of plans. I'll be going to lots of different places. I'll be micro-adventuring in Scotland in a camper van, and I'm going to be going on a very exotic holiday with my children because we're all meeting a milestone next year. So we've all got something to celebrate. Much to do.
Wow, that's one. That's excellent. Thank you very much. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for taking part in the Content Marketing Studio and that mini series on investing in yourself. If people have more questions or want to know more about adventurous coaching, where can they go to find out
Thank
more
you.
about Polly
So
Brennan?
you can look me up, www.adventurouscoaching.com is my website. If you want to sign up for the weekly challenge, you can do that there. There's also, you can download a mental fitness ebook, and I've got one that's very specific to the current COVID situation. You can email me, polly@adventurouscoaching.com, and I'm everywhere on social media in terms of LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I just really briefly wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me to speak today about mental fitness, because Pascal, my best hope is that I can have more media opportunities to try and reach out to as many people as possible. I guess I'm on a mission to support as many people as I can to really strengthen their mental fitness right now. So this is a really great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and you've done a sterling job. So I hope you get your own radio show very soon as well. So, to our viewers and listeners, thank you for your support. Please do leave your feedback, comments, and suggestions for future guests and topics in the usual places. I would normally tell you to go out there and create better content faster, but I'm going to close by saying that if you want to add value and look after your audience, you've got to be looking after yourself first. Until the next one, take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.